Your biggest problem is not that you don't have enough time. Your biggest problem is that your focus is scattered. Think about it. The entire day passes. But at the end of it, you feel, what did I even do today? You were busy, but you weren't productive. You worked, but you didn't do the work that actually mattered. And that one difference between being busy and being productive is what either builds a life or slowly destroys it. Focus on what matters is about catching that one mistake, that the problem isn't time management. The problem is attention management. Your life goes where your attention goes. Here's a simple truth that most people never truly absorb. Your life is moving in exactly the direction your attention is pointing. If your attention is on distractions, your life will be scattered. If your attention is on comparison, looking at what others have, what others are doing, your life will be filled with dissatisfaction. If your attention is on fear, fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of the unknown, your life will be filled with hesitation. You'll always be one step away from starting, but never actually starting. The message is clear. You become what you focus on. But here's the real problem. You're not the one deciding where your focus goes. Your phone decides. Notifications decide. Other people decide. And you just flow along with it all, reacting to whatever shows up next, never truly choosing direction for yourself. So ask yourself this. If you can't control your own attention, can you really control your own life? The trap of endless scrolling. This is where it begins. You tell yourself, let me just scroll for a bit. But that a bit slowly, quietly turns into hours. You tell yourself, just one more video. And then one video becomes a chain. Before you know it, an hour is gone. 2 hours. Sometimes an entire evening. This isn't a willpower failure. This is by design. Your mind has been trained, conditioned, to seek easy dopamine. The instant gratification that comes from a funny video, a new notification, an exciting reel. It feels good right now. And your brain loves what feels good right now. But here's the brutal truth. The things that feel good instantly almost always pull you backward over time. And the things that feel hard right now, the discipline, the deep work, the practice, are exactly what push you forward. Your brain knows this, but it chooses easy, fast, and instant anyway. And that choice, made over and over, day after day, is what keeps you average. You have limited focus every day. Here's something most people ignore completely. You don't have unlimited mental energy. Every single day, you wake up with a limited, finite amount of focus. It's a resource, and you're spending it like it's infinite. You use it to scroll through someone's story, to compare your life to someone else's highlight reel, to browse without purpose, to check notifications that don't matter. And then, when the real work shows up, when you actually sit down to do something important, you say, I just can't focus right now. Of course you can't. You've already spent your best mental energy on nothing. Now imagine a different scenario. What if you woke up every morning and immediately directed your focus to just 2 or 3 essential things? No phone, no distractions, no comparison. What would happen? You would do less, but you would do the right things. And that alone would begin to change your life. The dangerous habit of treating everything as urgent. Here's a habit that quietly destroys your focus, treating everything as important. Every message feels urgent. Every notification demands immediate attention. Every task feels like it needs to be done right now. But the reality? Not everything is important. Most of it is just noise. The problem is that you can't tell the difference between noise and signal, between what's actually urgent and what just feels urgent. And this inability to filter destroys your focus completely. So here's a powerful shift. Starting today, before you start any task, ask yourself this one question. Is this genuinely important? Or do I just want to feel busy? That single question will eliminate 50% of your distractions. Because the truth is, you don't need to do more work. You need to do the right work. The work that actually moves you forward. The myth of multitasking. You think multitasking makes you smart. You think doing multiple things at once means you're efficient. But science says something very different. Multitasking breaks your focus. It reduces your productivity significantly. When you try to do multiple things at once, you're not actually doing all of them. You're doing all of them badly. You're leaving everything half finished, half focused, half done. And at the end of the day, you're frustrated because nothing feels complete. Now imagine this instead. What if you did just one thing at a time, with complete focus? You would finish faster. You would do it better. And you would feel genuinely satisfied when it's done. This is what's called deep work. And in today's world, it is a rare skill. Everyone around you is distracted. Notifications are flying. Attention spans are shrinking. And the person who can sit down, shut out the noise, and go deep on one thing, that person is the one who stands out. That person is the one who moves ahead. You don't need to beat the whole world. You just need to outrun your own distractions. And the day you do that, that's the day your growth becomes unstoppable. Focus is not a superpower. It's a result. Most people think they need to just focus more. They think focus is some kind of superpower you either have or you don't. But here's the truth. Focus is not a superpower. Focus is a result. It's what happens when you reduce the noise around you. Think about it honestly. How many times do you check your phone while working? How many times do you unlock your screen for no reason? How many times do you break your own concentration before anyone else does? And then you say, "My focus is weak." No, your environment is weak. You are working in a space where everything is designed to pull your attention away from what matters. Notifications, social media, random thoughts. You've created an environment that makes focus almost impossible, and then you're surprised when you can't focus. So here's a simple rule. Start removing the things that break your concentration. Don't just put your phone on silent during work time. Put it in another room. Don't just turn off a few notifications. Delete the apps you don't need. Because change doesn't come from willpower, it comes from building the right system. Here's a deeper truth about your mind. If you don't give it direction, it will go looking for distractions on its own. Your mind cannot sit empty. It always needs something. So focus doesn't just mean saying no to distractions. It means saying yes to one specific thing. The problem with wanting to be good at everything. Think about how you approach your goals. You want to learn a little of everything. A skill here, some knowledge there, a new interest over there. But what actually results from this? Nothing solid. Nothing deep. You never go deep enough in any one area to become truly valuable. And in today's world, depth is what creates value. The person who goes deep into one skill, who masters one craft, one domain, one area, that's the person who stands out. That's the person who commands respect, opportunity, and results. Everyone else just becomes part of the background noise, another average person in a sea of average people. Ask yourself honestly, do you want depth or do you want distraction? Because you can't have both. They are mutually exclusive. Why boredom is where your growth begins. Here's something you probably do without realizing it. The moment things get difficult, you reach for something easy. As soon as the work gets hard, as soon as it gets boring, as soon as your mind starts to resist, you pick up your phone. You find a distraction. You find relief. But this is exactly where you lose the game. Real growth doesn't begin when things are fun and exciting. Real growth begins after boredom, after the discomfort. When you're struggling, when you want to quit, when your mind is desperately looking for an escape, and you stay anyway. That's when your level actually changes. But most people don't stay. As soon as boredom hits, they escape into distraction. And then they wonder why they never seem to improve. Now imagine, what if you changed that habit? What if, the next time boredom showed up, you held your ground? What would happen? Slowly, over time, you would train yourself for deep work, for long focus sessions, for real, sustained growth. Your ability to stay with something difficult. That is the most underrated skill in the modern world. The power of clear priorities. Here's another reason you struggle to focus. You wake up every morning without knowing what actually matters today. So naturally, you spend your time on random things. You respond to whoever messages you. You do whatever feels urgent in the moment. You fill your day with activity that goes nowhere. But here's the truth. Clear priorities create focus. If you know that today, only these two things truly matter, your mind will naturally move in that direction. But if everything feels important, nothing actually is. So here's a simple rule. Every day, decide on just 2 or 3 tasks that will genuinely move your life forward. Not 10 tasks. Not a long to-do list full of busy work. 2 or 3 things that actually matter. Everything else is optional. This sounds almost too simple. But this single habit creates more change than almost anything else you could do. Clarity comes from honesty with yourself. There's an uncomfortable truth that most people avoid. You can't find clarity because you're not being honest with yourself. You say, I want to do this. But deep down, you know you're avoiding it. You set goals, but don't take action. You make plans, but don't follow through. And then you blame time, luck, or circumstances. But the real reason? You haven't decided what truly matters to you. Clarity doesn't come from outside. It comes from within. And it comes when you ask yourself the difficult questions. If I only had 1 year left, what would I focus on? If I could only learn one skill, what would it be? If I had to let go of everything else and do just one thing, what would it be? These questions aren't easy, but they are the questions that give you direction. And when you have direction, speed follows naturally. Stop chasing results. Start loving the process. Here's another trap. You chase results. Money, success, recognition, validation, you want the outcome. But you ignore the process. And that's why you feel stuck. Because results are not in your control. The process is. If you consistently follow the right process, if you show up every day and do the work, the results will come. They have to. That's how it works. But if you only think about the results, all you'll feel is frustration because the results always seem far away. So here's the shift. Stop measuring your progress by results. Start measuring it by process. Did you do 2 hours of deep work today? Did you avoid your major distractions? Did you complete your priority tasks? Just focus on that. Watch what happens to your life when you do. The hidden enemy, comparison. Every day, you compare yourself to someone else. Their success, their lifestyle, their progress on social media. And the moment you do, your focus shifts away from your own path. You start running someone else's race. You start measuring yourself against someone else's timeline. But the truth is, everyone's path is different. Everyone's timeline is different. If you keep your focus on others, you will never be able to truly focus on yourself. And that's what stops your growth more than almost anything else. Imagine if you stopped comparing entirely and directed your full attention to your own work, your own growth, your own goals. What would happen? You would grow faster. You would feel more stable. You would feel genuinely satisfied. Because now you're running your race, not someone else's. The power of presence. Your mind is always somewhere else. While you're working, you're thinking about the future. While you're resting, you're thinking about the past. And in both cases, you lose the present. But real power lives in the present moment. When you work with full awareness, when you're completely here, your efficiency increases dramatically. You think better. You perform better. You create better. So here's a rule. When you work, only work. When you rest, rest without guilt. This balance multiplies your focus. It's not about doing more. It's about being fully present with whatever you're doing. Focus is an identity, not just a skill. By now you're beginning to see, focus isn't just a technique. It's not a hack or a trick. Focus is a discipline, a habit, an identity. And the day you start seeing yourself as a focused person, that's when everything changes. Your decisions change. You automatically avoid distractions because they don't fit who you are anymore. You take your priorities seriously. You stop wasting time. Because now you're not just trying to focus. You are focused. And that's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. Training your untrained mind. Here's something most people never realize. Your mind isn't broken. It's just untrained. You've never actually trained your mind to focus. You've just left it open, free to wander wherever it wants, think whatever it wants, react to whatever shows up. And now you expect it to suddenly behave with discipline. That's not how it works. Think of it this way. If you take a dog and give it no training, it will react to every sound. It will run after every distraction. It will be completely uncontrollable. But a trained dog is calm, focused, and controlled. The same dog, completely different behavior. Your mind works exactly the same way. An untrained mind equals distraction. A trained mind equals focus. So how do you train it? Through awareness. The next time your attention wanders, and it will, catch it immediately. Say to yourself, not now. And bring yourself back to your work. At first, this will happen dozens of times. Maybe 100 times in a single session. Your mind will drift, you'll catch it, bring it back. Drift, catch, return. But with practice, day after day, week after week, your mind will learn where it's supposed to be. This is the practice that makes you different. This is the practice most people never do. Deep work versus long hours. Let's clear up a major misunderstanding. Focus doesn't mean working long hours. Focus means doing deep work in shorter bursts. You can work 8 hours a day and remain completely average, and someone else can work 3 hours with complete focus and produce top-level results. The difference is depth. Imagine this. You put your phone away, close the door, and for 1 full hour, you work with complete, undivided concentration. That 1 hour becomes worth 3 or 4 hours of distracted, scattered work. That's smart work. That's focused work. The perfectionism trap. Here's another enemy of focus that you may not have named yet. Perfectionism. You want to do it perfectly, so you don't start. Or you start, but you move so slowly that nothing gets done. You're stuck in planning, preparing, polishing, but not doing. The truth is, perfectionism kills focus. Because focus requires action, and perfectionism delays action indefinitely. So starting today, shift from perfect to progress. Do a little, but do it every day. Do it imperfectly, but do it completely. Because momentum, not perfection, is what actually changes things. Your environment is either building you or breaking you. This is one of the most underestimated truths about focus. Your environment silently controls you. If the people around you aren't serious, if they're distracted, time-wasting, unfocused, you will become like them. Not because you want to, but because environment has a silent, powerful influence on behavior. So check your circle. Check your space. Where you sit to work. Is that environment pushing you to grow or pulling you toward distraction? If the answer isn't clear, then change is necessary. Because focus doesn't just come from within. It also gets built from without. Urgent versus important. The distinction that changes everything. Every day, you confuse two things, urgent and important. Urgent is whatever demands your attention right now. Important is what actually changes your life. And the problem? You spend most of your time on urgent things and keep postponing the important ones. That's why you stay busy, but don't grow. That's why you're always in reactive mode, always putting out fires, always responding instead of creating. So here's the shift. Every day, do the important things first. Then handle the urgent ones if time allows. And if you run out of time before you get to the urgent things, that's okay. Because you already took care of what actually mattered. Your why is the foundation of your focus. Here's the final, deepest layer, and the one most people completely miss. You want to focus, but you don't have clarity on why you're doing any of this. You work, but you don't feel connected to the work. And when there's no connection, there's no consistency. That's why you feel motivated for a few days and then slowly drift back to your old patterns. Not because you're lazy, but because your why isn't strong enough. So ask yourself honestly, why are you doing what you're doing? Is it for money, freedom, respect, to provide for your family, to prove something to yourself? If your why is weak, your focus will be weak. But if your why is crystal clear, if you know exactly what you're fighting for, then distractions automatically lose their power. Because every distraction now has a price. Every time you scroll instead of work, you know exactly what you're losing. That awareness is what makes focus truly unbreakable. You don't need to give up everything. Here's something important to understand. You don't have to give up enjoying life to have focus. You can still use social media. You can still spend time with friends. You can still rest, relax, and have fun. The difference is, those things won't control you anymore. You will control them. That's real balance. Not deprivation, not endless grinding, but intentional living, where you are in the driver's seat. Discipline over mood. Here's one final, critical shift. You wait for the right mood before you focus. When I feel like it, I'll work. But moods are never stable. If you work based on how you feel, you will never be consistent. Because some days you'll feel great, and other days you won't. And on the days you don't, nothing will get done. So the rule is simple. Follow a system, not a mood. Whether you feel like it or not, you do the work. Because discipline does what motivation cannot. Discipline shows up even when the feeling doesn't. And slowly, as your mind sees that you're serious, that this isn't a phase, that this isn't a game. The resistance begins to fade. The work becomes easier not because it gets easier, but because you get stronger. Becoming someone distractions can't touch. Here's the final shift in thinking. You've been trying to avoid distractions, but that's not enough. Because distractions will always exist. The world is designed this way. The real goal is to become someone who can remain focused even in the midst of distractions. Imagine becoming a person who can work in chaos, who can think clearly in noise, who can stay stable under pressure, who can show up every day, no matter what. If you become that person, who can stop you? No one. Because your control is no longer outside of you. Your control is inside. And that is the ultimate power. The final truth. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things, consistently. Small actions, taken every day, carried out with full focus, will take you exactly where you want to go. And one day, you'll look back and think, when did I become this person? I didn't even notice. That is real growth. Silent, steady, powerful. And now you're at the point where you need to make just one decision. Are you going to keep living the same way? Or are you going to start living with focus? Because your life won't change overnight. No single day, no single motivation, no single video will transform you. But one decision, followed by daily small habits, will slowly, quietly make you into a completely different person. You don't need to change the whole world. You just need to decide where your attention goes. Because where attention goes, energy flows. And where energy flows, growth follows. Focus on what matters. Not as a slogan, not as a reminder, as a way of life. Life is not complicated. We make it complicated by getting tangled in everything, by listening to every voice, by accepting every distraction. But the moment you start choosing what to ignore, what to avoid, what is truly important, your life begins to simplify. The path becomes clearer. The work becomes lighter. And the results begin to arrive on their own. Imagine a life where you wake up every morning and you know exactly what needs to be done. No confusion. No unnecessary stress. You do your work with full focus. And at the end of the day, you feel a deep satisfaction. Today, I did the right things. That feeling, that quiet, solid satisfaction, is the real victory. So start today. Start small, but start for real. Remove one distraction. Complete one important task. Make one decision with clarity. Just that. Just that is where your transformation begins. And remember, the day you take control of your focus is the day you take control of your direction. And once you control your direction, nothing in this world can stop you.